As a storyboard artist, a lot of times I run out of ideas and I don't know what to do for certain scenes or shots. And sometimes I just have to go and look up references in other films to give me ideas for creating something for the scene. For example, in my film, The Great Sun, there are a lot of times when I borrow shots from other films and use them in my film. But unlike the really popular examples like Christopher Nolan using the glass wall scene from Paprika and using it in Inception, or Darren Aronofsky using shots from Perfect Blue in Requiem of a Dream, or even Boondocks straight up taking the exact same shot from Naruto. When I steal stuff, I do it in a way where it's very hard to get caught. When I steal a shot or idea, I change it enough so that the audience doesn't know I stole from a particular movie. I'm gonna show you examples of my process for this so that you can use it as well. One of the first scenes in my film where I stole something was in the opening scene where one of the main characters is looking at a suspicious character standing against the wall. While I was boarding it, I realized that this scene had a similar type of energy from Disney's Tarzan, where Tarzan saw something suspicious in the bushes of the forest, and he was squinting at the bushes trying to figure out what it was. In this scene, the filmmakers would cut back and forth between those shots to create a feeling of tension and uncertainty. And I realized that this is the same energy and feeling that I want for my character in this moment of the film. What I actually stole from this shot was the acting and the editing of the scene to give it that same sense of suspense. So if you look here, you will see that the character looks off screen. Then I cut to what the character is looking at, and then I cut back to the character with that same sense of suspicion and that same type of acting. You may think that this is not stealing, but one of the few ways of actually boarding the scene. But for me, this is stealing without getting caught. I have shown this scene to a lot of people and no one has ever said this reminds me of that scene from Tarzan. When I steal, I try to steal in a way where it's not enough for people to recognize the shots, but enough to give them that similar feeling. Another shot where I stole from a film is when I was creating a fight choreography where my main character fights the villain for the first time. Now, I'm not an expert in fight choreography and I don't know any kind of martial arts, so I needed to look up a lot of reference for this scene. So for this fight, I referenced the fight between Hector and Achilles from the film Troy, because it has that similar feeling for what I want for my fight scene. There are a lot of ideas that I take from this fight scene and incorporate it into my film, but I change it enough so that people don't notice it. One of the first things I steal is the idea of the hero almost mortally hurting the antagonist. So in this moment, Hector swings his sword and scratches the armor of Achilles, and I use that and I create a similar moment where my hero cuts the villain on his arm. Again, you might say that this is not stealing, but I did reference the scene and initially used this moment to create a very similar scene in my film. And I also used this moment where Achilles elbows Hector in the face, but I changed the scene by moving the camera and moving the characters enough that it doesn't look like the same exact shot. If anyone saw my film and Troy back to back, they still wouldn't know that I took that piece of fight choreography from Troy. Another example where I stole something was from the Rurouni Kenshin live action film. One of my favorite fight scenes in the film is where Saito and Kenshin fight out in the rain, and there's a moment where they clash swords. I stole the idea of this moment and the energy of the scene of the villain pushing down on the hero, but I again changed the shots and changed the positioning of the camera so you don't notice. The last example I want to show you is from Princess Mononoke, where Prince Ashitaka is climbing the ladder to look out of the tower. I stole the energy of this scene for a scene of one of my main characters climbing a tree. This is another moment where I watch a film and I see a scene and I realize that I want to do something similar to this. So I tell myself I'm gonna steal this, but I'm gonna change it so it looks different enough so it won't be the exact same shot, and the audience will think that this is something original. So if you want to steal shots the way I steal shots, you have to do two things. Number one, do not copy the exact same thing frame for frame. If you copy frame by frame, especially very popular fight scenes from movies and anime, you will get called out. Number two, change the camera angle of the composition, especially if you're using the same fight choreography. Changing the camera angle will trick everyone to feel as though this is something different, Even if it's something as popular as the Akira slide or the Kamen Rider kick, if you change the camera angle, people will not associate your shot with where you stole it from. This is one of the best way of stealing things like an artist. And it's a tool that you should definitely add to your tool belt because there's nothing ethically wrong with doing something like this. Once you change it enough, no one will know. Hopefully this was helpful and you will use this tip anytime you may have an artist block while storyboarding. If you enjoyed this video, make sure and hit the like button and subscribe if you already haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.